Good morning, everybody. The Women Innovate Network is back with its fifth webinar, She Mitigates Climate Change, Morocco and Tunisia chapter. And we are really fortunate to have with us today key women figures from Morocco and Tunisia as speakers and panelists in our fifth webinar. And the Women Innovate Network is established under the Water Energy for Food Grand Challenge. And the challenge is supported by BMZ, the EU, the government of the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and the USA. We are fortunate to hold this webinar in collaboration with the American Chamber of Morocco. We're having with us today Ms. Rabia Al-Allama, the Managing Director of the American Chamber of Morocco. And as we all know, the impacts of climate change is devastating all over the globe with very severe impacts on the MENA region, namely Morocco and Tunisia. These two countries are experiencing heavy droughts and heat waves, severe heat waves. And given that business women and women entrepreneurs in the agriculture and agribusiness sectors in most cases have limited access to information and knowledge for various reasons, despite these challenges, women-led and managed companies often excel in integrating environmental, social, and governance interventions in their operations. And we have with us today two successful women-led business, one from Tunisia, Ms. Malak Boukhtir. She is the founder and managing director of EcoFeed, and Ms. Lamia Bouzain, the co-founder of Ladidat, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, Ladidat Morocco. And last but not least, we have a star from EBRD Morocco. We have Ms. Ihsan Iraqi, Programs Manager. And without further ado, I hand over the floor to Ms. Rabia Al-Allama, Managing Director of the American Chamber of Morocco, to give her speech. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Noura, and all the team for associating the American Chamber of Commerce in Morocco to this wonderful panel. We, as a Chamber of Commerce, we're so aware that sustainability should not wait, and we started some 10, 20 years ago with creating a social responsibility committee that has now been, renamed or baptized the AmCham Sustainability Committee. And last October, at the AmCham Galabal, we've given trophies and we started giving trophies and awards for companies, members of the AmCham who are pioneering in the field of sustainability. So the award for 2024 went to an American company, Fruit of the Loom, for their energy transition and for turning two of their main factories into sustainable factories. These two factories produce garment for export. They are run by solar, and they have recycling water stations. So the award went to a large American company. But that said, we always associate small and medium-sized companies into these programs. So we created a committee that has both Moroccan and American companies that really tackles the issues of ESG. And no later than last March 8th, we had a International Women's Day celebrated, with AmCham Women in Business. And we had a specific panel on women contribution to sustainability and women in agriculture. Of course, our AmCham member, Lamia Bouzain, was a panelist among other women. So basically, this is what we're doing so far. Always we think that sustainability is only for a big, large American companies or multinationals. But definitely there is a big opportunity for small businesses to adapt these practices. I'm sure we're going to talk about all these challenges and hurdles for small businesses adapting sustainability. But I think it's a plus, and definitely the ecosystem, including the funders, the technical experts, the donors, should really help SMEs be at the front and adopt ESGs in their daily strategies. So with that, I mean, we have other announcement coming soon. This year, next year, I mean, I know we're already 2025. In 2025, AmCham, along with other partners, will host the Sustainability Summit, you know, in May, and we will announce the date soon. With definitely awards submission for small businesses and small SMEs to be part of the recognition, you know, of this sustainability award. Otherwise, you know, there are other initiatives. We promote a lot of the event in sustainability soon, next year as well. There's the Water Forum in Chicago in the US. And a lot of our members attend the WIFTEC Forum to learn about the water sector, the technology, you know, and innovation in the field, including hardware, software, to adapt all these water tech initiatives. So there's plenty in terms of, you know, opportunities, you know, expertise and capacity building in the field. And we look forward to a very active 2025 with you guys and with all the partners, EBRD, Water and Energy, USAID, Prosper Africa, and, you know, the whole ecosystem. So with that, I will give the floor to other panelists. We want to hear from the farmers, the entrepreneurs, those who are in the field, to give us more, you know, insight on the topic. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Rabia, and very interesting initiatives indeed. And now we'd like to hear from our panelists about what are their experiences regarding the challenges facing small and medium enterprises to integrate environmental, social, and governance in their operations. And I would give the start by giving the floor to Ms. Malak. If you can give us your insights about the challenges.
Hello everyone, my name is Malik Boukthir. I'm from Tunisia. I'm the founder of EcoFeed, which is a startup who do the upcycling and recycling and valorization of waste to produce animal feed. We do this through a new eco process to as a response for security of food challenges. So for us, integrating ESG practices into SME operation is particularly challenging in contexts like Tunisia and also in Morocco and in all developing country where the regulatory framework often lack incentives for businesses to go beyond basic compliance. For example, while in Tunisia, for example, we have an environmental impact study who is mandatory for starting any industrial project. This requirement serves more as a procedure hurdle than a driver for sustainable innovation. There are no specific rewards such as tax breaks or grants for companies that adopt advanced green practices. Additionally, administrative processes for accessing support, such as subsidies for example, PV installation, are highly complex in our region and often inaccessible to small businesses. These barriers discourage SMEs generally from investing in renewable energy or other ESG-aligned technology. For EcoFeed, for example, we are implementing a solar-powered drying system requiring overcoming significant financial and procedure obstacles. This lack of streamlined access to resource is requiring challenges for SMEs trying to incorporate sustainable practices. Another issue is the limit of availability of tailored technical assistance and knowledge sharing platforms. Many SMEs particularly in rural areas, lack access to expertise, need to identify ESG opportunity or to implement best practices. Furthermore, the day-to-day procedure of running small businesses often mean that leaders focus on immediately operational tasks, neglecting long-term strategic planning and innovation. For instance, the absence of structured documentation and internal policies can hinder the ability to track and measure ESG performance, which is crucial for me, for example, and it was crucial for every startup as a step in adopting sustainability in their business practices. So these are the main problem for all small businesses. Despite these challenges, EcoFeed has demonstrated that integrating ESG is possible. It's not easy, but it's possible with innovation and determination. For example, we recycle over 1,500 tons of agriculture waste annually, and we support local farmers through sustainable feed solution and through many things that we do. However, these efforts require always external support and leadership willing to prioritize ESG, even when the system does not make it easy, because it's not easy to deal with ESG strategy and also with the day-to-day problems. So these are the main challenges for us as a startup to do this.
Thank you, Malak, so much for sharing your valuable insights. And moving to Miss Lamia, if you can share with us your insights, and do you experience like different challenges than Tunisia?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Lamia Bouziane, I'm the co-founder of Fruits and Veggies. It's a company based in Morocco. Ladidat is our brand. So what we do is we produce dehydrated fruits, mainly from declassified fruits. So basically, we work with farmers directly, and we take from them the fruits that are a little bit, let's call it, we call them ugly fruits. Actually, they're good in the taste, but the form or the visual aspect is not that good. So we work on those fruits mainly to limit the food waste. So those products are very difficult to sell on the market. So we work on that. And we also work on the extra production that farmers do have at the peak of the season. So basically, our business model is, the foundation of our business model is eco-friendly. We tackle food waste and we bring value to the farmers. And we also, when we started the business, we tried really to implement eco-friendly processes from the beginning. So one of the main challenges was the access to information, access to technology, because we have, let's say, mainstream technologies to, like when we talk about solar panels, all of these things are very known by everyone, but we don't have specific technologies for each of the projects. So one of the main challenges was really to imagine a solution that is eco-friendly but adapted to our business model. So this solution, of course, was tailored. We tailored it, but we didn't found it really accessible. So we sourced the technology that doesn't consume a lot of energy. We worked on a system that could recycle the water that is dehydrated from the fruits and reuse it within the factory. And one of the main aspects that we worked on is really to work closely with farmers and to be locally sourced so that our carbon footprint is not very high on the sourcing side. So these are important aspects because we have a sustainable model. But I think for most of the entrepreneurs, the most difficult thing is to have access to the information, to have access to the kind of technology that is adapted to their business that could help them be really eco-friendly. So that is the main aspect. Also, access to information, and also to have really like the to be willing to implement those technologies as like a kind of education, main education for everyone, like eco-friendly education for not only for entrepreneurs but for everyone, so that everyone is able to like think from a mindset of preserving the planet, not only like having profitability but also, and even before profitability, being eco-friendly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing these valuable insights. And just a reminder to the participants, if you'd like to post questions, please feel free to post it in the chat. And now moving to Ms. Ihsan, if you can share your insights about, based on your massive experience in this field, if you can first introduce yourself and then present the challenges from your experience facing SMEs in Morocco.
Hi everyone, thank you for the invitation. Happy to be among you today. And so I'm Ihsan Iraqi. I work at the EBRD, the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and we have programs dedicated to support women entrepreneurs and ESG. We also have this program in Tunisia, so I'm happy to connect with with our friends and share what we do as well there. We do acknowledge the limited resources and the barriers to integrate environmental, social, and governance principles for SMEs more specifically. And this is there are a lot of reasons, but I'm gonna cite some. The limited financial resources. So a lot of companies, a lot of SMEs, especially managed by women, have find it difficult to actually dedicate resources to implement ESG principles because they are really focused on the development of their business, immediate business survival, basically. And also, we know the costs of implementing sustainable practices, for instance, energy efficiency equipment, or, implementing new regulatory requirements. There's also the lack of knowledge or maybe awareness, and that's something I'm going to talk about afterwards and on the way we can help bypass that. Also, there is a limited, expertise versus the regulatory complexity, and that is something that can be done at a more, a higher level, whereby government and institutions try to implement processes that are simplified for SMEs, because it's really hard sometimes to navigate through the maze of ESG related regulations, and it can be daunting for small businesses, with very legal and compliance resources. They don't have those specificities or expertise. We know that companies need to focus basically on their survival, so they have a short-term focus, while we know that ESG is about long-term implementation, and so it is very difficult to actually focus on the long term while you're trying to survive. There's also this supply chain pressure because you work with suppliers. Those suppliers, if you do not implement the ESG practices, you won't see it as a necessity. And therefore, we're trying to, it's important to actually support women entrepreneurs while supporting the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ihsan, for these insights. And indeed, lots of challenges facing SMEs, including the need to have simplified regulations, the need to survive, and also implement long-term objectives is also a challenge facing SMEs. Now moving to Ms. Rabia, and given her, of course, long years of experience with the American Chamber of Morocco, interacting with companies, can you please give us your insights about the challenges facing SMEs in integrating ESG?
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, I mean, we've been reading all this year about ESGs, and it looks like ESG is mostly for, big, large corporation. They have the fundings for that, they budget for this, they have, a dedicated human resource for ESG, sometimes a division. They could hire consultants, to help them advance with these principles. And they also have the requirement to publish these, principles to boost their brand and their exports and their sales in general. So at the opposite, you have, small businesses who, as you mentioned, as Ihsan and Malek and Lamia mentioned, they're struggling with everyday operation. Navigating the investment process, finding their machinery and technical equipment, hiring, human resources on the field, as the supply chain, sourcing, all the ingredients and the material necessary to have the crop on time. In addition to all the issues linked to market access, today you have a good product, but where is the market sometime? If it's not a local market, you have to look for exports. I know that Lamia is doing all her best now to export to the US, and I hope the first container is going to be announced soon. So, accessing the market and finding the market opportunities. So all these, tasks make your day the busiest. So you have very little time to dedicate to ESG as if it was, a fancy topic, not a necessity for companies. So I think, what's lacking at the number one is, I would say, human resources, technical expertise, financing, opportunities, and of course, all the regularity and taxation. As Malek mentioned earlier. So I think what we could do as the ecosystem is, finding these mentors or consultants that they should work for free for SMEs to help them and to upgrade them to the level of ESG implementation. And so if I have to make a recommendation first, let's have these consultants who can help these companies start their ESG, transition, I would call it. And then, of course, have, financing options available. It could be a grant, for these kind of initiatives, we should have grants. We're no longer talking about financing lines or really a grant to go directly, from agencies, dedicated agencies. And here should be a call to all the ecosystem, including the agribusiness ministry, the agencies in charge of agriculture promotion, the regional investment center, the small business association and small business agency, all should come together to have, all these initiatives put in place and work with the funders to have these grants available.
Thank you so much for these valuable insights. And indeed, there are lots of challenges that is facing SMEs, namely like the business as usual challenges in their business, and they need support. And this give us like the to move to the second question that from your perspective, is there a sort of a magic recipe for supporting SMEs based on your experience? So what is really needed to make this leap or jump that to enable them, because it is not luxury to integrate ESG now. It is part of the responsibility, but usually the business looks at, the SMEs looks at what is the impact on profitability and productivity. But on the other side, it also benefits to combat the impact of climate change that would save us all from these challenges. I would start by Malak, if you can highlight what is the needed incentives, monetary and non-monetary support needs, what is the needed support from financial institutions, development partners, government entities.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Noura. So as you said, both of you and Mrs. Rabia. It's not luxury to nowadays. It's not luxury to go through ESG, and also it's a challenge to do this while we are facing day-to-day problems and issues like machinery and something like this in the field. So SMEs like us, like EcoFeed, require both financial and non-financial support to successfully integrate ESG practices, because it's not easy. It's not easy on both sides, strategic and also to do it in the right way. So financially, grants or accessible subsidies are needed for green technologies, such as solar panels or or eco-friendly machinery, which are coming from R&D, mainly from R&D, because we are talking about new technologies and new processes. However, the process to access such as subsidies in Tunisia, for example, is often too complex and lengthy, making it almost inaccessible for many business. Simplifying this procedure is essential to encourage more and more SMEs to adopt sustainable practices. Non-financial support is equally critical. For example, technical assistance, should be delivered for me. For example, I see that it should be delivered in one-to-one tailored approach, such as, for example, parcel-specific recommendation, something like this, to address the unique needs for each business. At more advanced stage, entrepreneurs need mentorship to shift their focuses from daily operational tasks to long-term strategic goals. So this is what we need as an entrepreneur. Often we become so immersed in our project routine demands that we miss opportunity for innovation or fail to implement crucial practices like proper documentation, for example. At EcoFeed, for instance, adopting documentation processes helped us establishing internal policies and align with ESG standards. And this is, for example, was a recommendation from We4F Grant Challenge. So the obligation of the documentation for everything was really helpful for us. So support programs should emphasize these practices, as they are fundamental to build some sustainable and scalable businesses. This is mainly are the facts to implement SSG strategies. So I think that challenges like We4F Grand Challenge, which guided us to improving our operations and integrating green innovation, are with the highly importance of these combined forms of support. And I advise all entrepreneur or all innovator in the world to compete in those challenges, because it's really important for every startup and every project to go through it, to have another vision, to have another encouragement to do this.
Thank you so much, Malak. And now moving to Lamia. And based on Malak's experience that having like documentation, enrolling in support programs that help SMEs through grants and tailored technical assistance is really of value. So we'd like to hear your magic recipe.
I think, yeah, when we talk about making an effort on something for a company, it means allowing resources, right? So everything comes back to money. So whether you make investments or you create trainings for your employees, or you need money to do so. And for a small company, you cannot ask a small company to invest on these topics, big investments, because it's difficult. It's we don't have money. It's definition. It's the definition of an SME. So basically, for me, the help should be in a format of a grant, whether it's on training or on implementing new technologies, or even on helping SMEs have an impact on their ecosystem. For example, in our case, we work with many farmers. So one of the ideas would be to give us resources to work with farmers, to be even with farmers eco-friendly, so to help them implement ESG principles in their day-to-day working. So we're not talking only about the impact at the level of our company, but it could be also an impact on hundreds and hundreds of farmers we work with. And this can go through basically money, because we need money to do everything. So we can organize trainings for them, give them incentives to work within, certain principles, certain guidelines, in order to be, to respect the environment. And that way we can have a bigger impact.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lamia. And now moving to Ihsan. Seems that the keyword is access to resources, whether finance or capacity building to teach and bring useful practices, viable practices to SMEs. So if you can share your insights about how EBRD supports SMEs in these aspects.
So we do acknowledge the importance of subsidies and grants. And actually, we do provide financial and technical incentives. So how so? What is important is that to direct funding to support green technical adoption, or renewable energy projects, or any trainings on ESG compliance. We also launch special loan programs. We have the facility called GEF, Green Financial Facility, and it has a green tech selector whereby companies can go select technology that they need to implement within their companies, and then it's subsidized up to 10% of the total financing. We do implement low interest rates, specific credit lines, and sustainability-linked loans to incentivize basically and help achieving the ESG targets. And at a bigger scale, we work on implementing green bonds. We had a large financing green bond for infrastructure. We develop SME-specific bonds, and so basically to encourage environmental and sustainable projects. Then we offer grants and subsidies to reduce the upfront costs of adopting sustainable practices and technologies. And how so? We do encourage banks and financial institutions to have preferential lending rates to SMEs investing in ESG projects. On top of that, we do give grants to incentivize that basically. So these are the monetary support, but there's also the technical support, the non-monetary support. We work on capacity building and training. The capacity buildings and trainings are done both online and face-to-face. These are certified trainings. We organize workshops for SMEs to understand ESG principles and implement them effectively. And we do technical assistance. So we provide, as Rabia said, consultants, experts to support SMEs to work on their developments, implementing ESG practices, but not only so, implement certifications, etc. And we cover up to 85% of the total cost. We bring expert advisory to guide SMEs with the ESG reporting, with certification processes and best practices. And we also support research and innovation in sustainable technologies that SMEs can, implement effectively. So some of the examples that I can cite is the innovation vouchers. So these are vouchers to start R&D within the company. Most often, these are startups who are trying to implement innovation within practices in general. So we provide innovation vouchers. We have a grant mechanism to support SMEs through the ESG journey. We have those certified trainings. We have something called the ESG pre-diagnosis that's done for free. So consultants go have a diagnosis within the company and try to understand what they could do better and how they could do it better. We have this green technology selector that I spoke about to encourage financing, green financing. We have green bonds with the infrastructure, large infrastructure projects. We also have something called the green value chain. So basically, we support companies within the value chain of large corporations. So as Rabia mentioned earlier, you have these large corporations with ESG requirements in terms of implementation, but also in terms of reporting. And now what is important is to work with their value chain. So we have this program called Green Value Chain, whereby they support the value chain through subsidy, those who are working with the corporations to actually be able to follow and implement themselves those ESG programs. And we have also the Star Venture. I'm thinking about our friends who are within the startup realm. So we have a Star Venture. It's a program whereby we give subsidy up to 50,000 euros, where we provide grants and advisory and expertise so that they can focus on their core business and actually bring experts to help them learn, implement new technologies, implement processes. And I think that that's transverse to the business, the core business of the company. That's something that they need expertise, extra expertise for.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Hussein, for sharing these insights of monetary and technical support interventions. And now we'd like to move to Rabia, and if you can share with us, like, in addition to recommendation about like having consultants or volunteers to provide their services, what are other useful insights that you think that it is crucial to incentivize SMEs to adopt ESG?
Well, first I want to congratulate Ihsan on this wonderful, call it a bouquet of services that I think it's our duty as AmCham to start promoting them. Maybe we should communicate almost daily about these, tools and programs. And I really want to invite you to work together on, like, call it a specific maybe award, for the ESG, and try like to promote this program to create awareness. I'm sure a lot of people are aware. But I mean, if we bring the awareness to the maximum, SMEs, they can benefit from the challenge, what we call it, the contest for startup, the grants, the consultant, that you mentioned, and all the other programs. So our number one duty is inform the maximum and maybe create this award. And sometimes like labels, when we started talking in the early 2000s about social responsibility, for a lot of Moroccan companies, it was a brand new, call it brand new fashion techniques, whatever. And then when CGM started putting a label called le label de la responsabilité sociale, every Moroccan company was pushing the boundaries to receive this label. So I think we should, beside the reporting and the certification, have some label for the SMEs, so they can add it to their marketing tools, saying we are, labeled by EBRD or whomever, or AmCham and EBRD, just like trying to create some synergies there. So there is plenty if we create the awareness and the information and the marketing needed for these programs. And the other thing, if you want Moroccan companies, SMEs, which is about 80% of they are the backbone of the Moroccan economy, it has to come from the highest authorities. It's the government and the government agencies in charge that should make it a priority. ESG is a priority for our ecosystem. And as soon as you make it a priority, everything else will follow. The regulation, the taxation, the initiatives, the programs, and everything. And we have to start. I mean, as soon as you put, success stories, an example to follow, others would like to do it. Livelihoods, ESG, labeled. It's going to be another success story that everyone else wants to follow. But just bear in mind that every company that I know within the AmCham network that is exporting to the US, you see that they have this kind of, you see that they have, just helping an olive oil company last week getting their organic, label. Because if they are labeled organic, they will have much better access to the US market and good margins. As soon as you're certified and having these, don't call them the fancy labels, call them the best marketing labels for your products and your brand. So as soon as you have these labels, you have better access to markets, you have better margin, and you can select your clients. So as soon as you are in a very, mediocre, bad quality and stuff, it's difficult. Adding all these challenges of, drought and all these expensive ingredients and materials. So the company will not be really lucrative at all. So I think create more awareness about these programs, continue the capacity building and training for not only for SMEs, but also for the ecosystem, including the regional agribusiness investment centers and the responsibles or executives at the Ministry of Agriculture, and make it a really priority for the government agencies.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rabia, for this elaboration about needed incentives. And now moving to our last question regarding the needed policy incentives from the government. It's like building on what you have mentioned, Rabia, that let's put it as a priority. Let's advocate for it as a government. So in addition to advocating for it, what is like the first milestone for the government to start really implementing and advocating for it? And I would start by giving you the floor, Rabia, to build up on what you've mentioned. And if you can tell us, like in 2 sentences, what is the starting point for the government to advocate for these policy change?
Well, first, I mean, the taxation. I mean, definitely the agribusiness sector, doesn't pay corporate tax, but there's a lot of sales tax. And I'm sure Lamia could share more about sales tax. So the sales tax usually is about 20% in several products. So, I mean, some initiatives in sales tax could help. I know that sometimes you can buy the equipment, including solar and other without sales tax, but it's always good to have some tax break for the agribusiness sector in the field of ESG. The other thing is bureaucracy. I mean, if you want to benefit from an incentives, it's always very lengthy process. And I know for a reason that when you want to benefit from an incentive through the regional agribusiness investment centers, it's always, a lengthy process and a difficult process. And as I said, create the awareness. Third point would be create the awareness within these agencies. They should really be aware that ESG is a priority, and we have to help every Moroccan company adopt these principles.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And now moving to Lamia, if you can share your insights about do you agree that having a sales tax incentives for SMEs would really have incentivize SMEs?
I think, yeah, absolutely. But for example, in agri-food, we pay many taxes. We pay VAT, so tax on added value. That's what Rabia called sales tax. It's 20%. We also pay 30% or our benefit as a tax. And we have taxes for on our employees and, so many other categories of taxes. So yeah, one of the that is a good idea, to have low taxes for companies who have implemented ESG principles or who have certifications in that regard. But I mean, we should work collectively. The state, companies, citizens, everyone should work on that, because today the planet is becoming a difficult place to live. It's getting hotter. Of course, it's nice. I mean, during winter to have a hot weather is good, but it's not good for environment. The impact is huge. We see it when we work with farmers, because today the production is fluctuating from year to year. We don't have enough good winters. So when it comes to harvest season, it's we have less fruits. Today we are seeing some fruits disappearing. So it's a little bit scary. And it's not only the work of SMEs, or everyone should work on that. Because in few years, if we don't do anything, the planet is going to be different. I don't know what it's going to be, but it will be definitely different. A different place, and probably most difficult place to live in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Malak, if you can tell us what do you think about needed policy level recommendations that would encourage SMEs, in 2 sentences? Can you please unmute yourself?
Thank you, Mrs. Noura. For me, said Lamia, we are paying a lot. So I think encouraging SMEs to integrate ESG practices require a combination of supportive policies and internal leadership, both. On policy level, the government should offer tangible incentives such as tax benefits or fast tracking approvals for companies adopting green technology or eco-friendly processes, specifically small businesses. Simplifying access to renewable energy subsidies or encouraging public-private partnerships can further help businesses for the transition to sustainable models. Additionally, promoting education or circular economy practices, for example, what we do in EcoFeed of valorization for agriculture waste could inspire some other SMEs to align with ESG goals. So, however, transitioning from extractive activities to ESG-oriented practices is not just about policy. It must be with an internal decision by us, by the business leader. As a project owner, I think we are before being a project owner, we are a decision maker. So we carry the responsibility to drive change for the future of our industries and our humanity. So choosing to invest in the MENA region places us in a position to influence. So where adopting a sustainable practice is not just an opportunity, but it's a duty to create a positive change, because we are a change maker before being an entrepreneur or a businesswoman and businessman. So at EcoFeed, we believe that meaningful change starts with small change, deliberate actions. So like the butterfly effect, these actions, such as implementing internal sustainability policies, can ripple outward. So shaping the future of our industry and our community. As leaders and as a business owner, we must act with a vision for the long term, not for just now. So for the long term, embedding ESG principles into our strategy to ensure that our investments build our better future, not for us, but for the future of our children and our community. So I think it's a duty, not luxury. You're mute, Mrs. Noura.
Thank you so much, Malak. And last but not least, Ihsan, can you please share with us your insights about policy level recommendations that is needed to incentivize SMEs in 2 sentences, because I'm afraid we're really running out of time.
So I believe that to ensure SMEs remain committed to ESG integration in general, and more specifically women entrepreneurs, it's important to foster a culture of sustainability. So we need to have government and development partners. They should actively promote ESG as part of the long-term growth strategy. So it's important to highlight, communicate around it, create incentives. It's also important to incorporate ESG in procurement. So to encourage large organizations and governments to prioritize basically SMEs for contracting and procurement with those with strong ESG credentials in their supply chains. So this is going to encourage entrepreneurs implement ESG, and of course it needs to be incentivized as well. It's also important to monitor and evaluate progress, and to do so we have to implement tools and frameworks, and those tools and frameworks help to track the impact of ESG initiatives, and also to provide regular feedbacks to SMEs for their continuous improvements. So basically, to address these challenges, it's needed to have targeted support. Policymakers and stakeholders, they can enable SMEs to play a pivotal role in driving sustainable development, while at the same time remaining competitive, because that's what will help them survive as a company.
Thank you so much, Ihsan, for these really valuable insights, and for all speakers for these valuable insights. And we have like few questions. The first question from Mr. Richard Hanna. The question is, it is very important to focus on entrepreneur and provide resources and mentors, but what is done in terms of raising awareness to people and customers so that they will buy from those entrepreneurs? And I would like to ask Ihsan if you would like to give insights about if you have some initiatives, or you do something to encourage like customers, or like reaching out to customers so that they can buy these innovations.
Yeah, I understand the question. It's completely legit, because it's one of the challenges for companies implementing ESG. Because they're targeting clients, those clients, if they're not aware, or if the only criteria is budget, then it's very hard for them to implement the ESG, because the final buyer is the ones who makes the rule. So important to raise awareness, first of all. It's important more often in developed countries than in underdeveloped countries. You find those clients more the tendency towards respecting the environment, buying from suppliers who do have values. So there is a shift in culture. It's not totally implemented everywhere, because the cost of the product is stays as the lead. So what we do is we try to implement awareness through capacity building, through seminars, whereby you try to make sure that everyone is understanding that this is highly impacting the society at large, the country, the as Lamia said, our host home, which is going to be impacted by these changes in the climate and the impacts of carbon footprint, etc. So more often than before, people try to understand and be sensitive to that. But also, one of the programs that I've talked about is to incentivize through value chains, and this green value chain program is therefore to support both the suppliers and the final customers to understand the value chain and how this is going to impact. For instance, the client is able to track the products with the QR code and understand where it has been produced, who they sourced from, is it respectful for children, the environment, etc. And then there is a tracking of the information regarding the product they're buying. And there is more and more awareness of those who are buying to understand what they're paying for and how it is impacting positively or negatively the environment.
Thank you so much, Ihsan, and I believe you have also answered the last question regarding the incentives throughout the value chain. We have one last question.
Can I think on this question, please? Yeah,
sure.
I think customers have more and more sensibility towards everything related to environment. For example, for our products, the two main reasons why people buy our products is that they're made in Morocco. So people, like Moroccan people, they love to buy Moroccan products, but also because they are sourced from farmers. So they know we have a social impact on our suppliers, and also because the products are 100% natural. So they know that our products don't contain any chemicals. So obviously, all the value chain is oriented towards something that is healthy and that has a minimum impact on the environment. The locally sourced, the fact that we source locally, so very low carbon footprint, and all those aspects, customers, they do appreciate them, and they want to buy our products. So one of the main challenges would be to bring those products at the same price as other products that don't have all those aspects, because eventually customers don't want to pay extra money they want to be nice, they want to be positive on the planet, but they don't want to pay a lot of money more than let's say a normal product. So one of the things we could do to help companies bring those kind of products with a similar price would be all the incentives we talked about, everything we talked about to allow them to implement ESG principles without having to pay from their pockets eventually, and without having to impact that price on the final customers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lamia. And the last question is by Mariam Susi. It is based on your experiences. What is more challenging for SME innovators in the agriculture sector in Tunisia and Morocco, whether it's securing financial support to start and develop their work, or raising farmers' awareness about WEF issues and encouraging them to adopt new technologies, products provided by SMEs? And I would pass this question to Malak, if you can share with us your insights. for whether securing financial support or raising farmers' awareness is more important?
I think this, Nora, both of them are important, but I think raising awareness is more effective. So if we have the mentality to invest in something like this, so we can bring the investment. But first of all, we have to ensure that we have that we are raising awareness, because this is the most and this is the difficult challenge to change. So this is my opinion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, speakers and panelists today, and for all attendees for attending this interesting webinar and sharing your valuable insights with us. And I invite all attendees, if you're interested, if you are a women-led or managed SME, to join our Women Innovate network. And we're going to display shortly the QR code for it. Last but not least, I would like to thank all lovely, persistent, and hardworking women all over the globe. Keep going, keep shining, you can do it. We're happy to support you. And stay tuned for our new series in 2025. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. And see you in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.